Ah yes, the mighty pharaohs of Egypt, god-kings of the desert, rulers of vast empires, and proud employers of royal poop inspectors? That's right. We all know about the pyramids, the mummies, and the gold-covered tombs. But what you don't hear about in history class are the absolutely bonkers, downright hilarious things these ancient rulers actually did. So today we're diving headfirst into the 5 funniest, most ridiculous facts about Egyptian pharaohs. The kind of facts that will make you question whether ancient Egypt was a civilization or just one very elaborate prank that got wildly out of hand. Let's begin. 1. Pharaohs had royal poop inspectors. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was considered a literal god, and apparently that meant his bodily functions were sacred. Yes, even the ones that happened behind closed curtains in the royal bathroom. Pharaohs had actual officials tasked with examining their stool to assess their health. This was an official job, an actual position, a whole career path. You think your job is bad? Imagine your ancient job title being Royal Defecation Analyst. Your whole life revolves around studying royal turds like they're ancient scrolls. That means someone, somewhere, once said, "I work for the king." Oh, wow! Are you a scribe? A priest? No, I look at his poop daily. This was part of their medical system too. If the pharaoh was sick, the stool inspector would be among the first to know. Congratulations, you're the human thermometer of the ancient world. So yes, even the divine bowel movements were under surveillance. If that doesn't say power, I don't know what does. 2. The original cult leader with a head shaped like a light bulb. Let's talk about Akhenaten, the pharaoh who looked like he came straight out of Area 51 and ruled like he was starting a religious startup. Akhenaten completely tossed out Egypt's entire religious system, you know, the thousands of gods the Egyptians had carefully worshipped for centuries, and replaced it with a single god, Aten, the sun disk. He basically said, "Hey everyone, I had a vision. All your gods are canceled. From now on, it's just me, my weird sun disk, and some vibes." But it didn't stop there. Akhenaten changed the art style, the capital city, the fashion, and even how people wrote about him. He had statues made of himself looking like an alien, with a super long skull, wide hips, no muscles, and a face that screamed, "Yes, I have been on a juice cleanse for 14 years. His new religion was basically a solo fan club for himself and the sun. Even the name Akhenaten means effective for the Aten. The man renamed himself after his favorite celestial object. That's like legally changing your name to Jeff Sunbeam, servant of the glorious orb. Eventually, after he died, the Egyptians went, "Okay, that was weird," and erased everything. His temples, his statues, his religion, all gone. It's the ancient equivalent of deleting your ex's entire social media presence and pretending the cult phase never happened. 3. Ramses II had over 100 children. Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great, ruled for 66 years and spent a good chunk of that time expanding the family tree. He had at least 100 children. Some records suggest it was closer to 160. This man was the ancient Egyptian version of Nick Cannon, but with temples, armies, and divine status. He had so many kids that he literally built monuments just to list all their names. Imagine parenting 100 children. That's not a family, that's a domestic empire. You'd need a spreadsheet the size of the Nile just to remember birthdays. Every family dinner was probably a logistical nightmare. Who's bringing the wine? All of us, Father. Wait, you're brothers? Technically, yes, half. Mostly, kind of. Historians believe many of his children had jobs within his administration, which makes sense. You can't build a dynasty without in-house labor. 4. Hatshepsut wore a beard and out-pharaohed the men. Hatshepsut was one of the most successful and powerful pharaohs in Egyptian history, and she was a woman. But here's the thing. Ancient Egypt wasn't too keen on the idea of a female ruler. So Hatshepsut said, "Fine, I'll play your game." She referred to herself as a man in official texts, dressed like a male pharaoh, and even wore a ceremonial false beard, because in ancient Egypt, apparently facial hair meant business. She didn't just adopt the look, she completely dominated the throne. Her reign was peaceful, prosperous, and full of architectural achievements. She even built one of the most magnificent temples in Egypt. It's like she said, "You want a man to lead? Cool. I'll slap on this fake beard and still do your job better than you ever could." She was so good at being pharaoh that after her death, later rulers tried to erase her from history out of sheer insecurity. That's not just greatness, that's legacy-level pettiness. 5. Pharaohs had sacred pets and mourned them like Kardashians. Ancient Egyptian pharaohs weren't just into gold and glory. They were extremely attached to their pets. Cats, dogs, monkeys, even falcons. They loved them, but cats were next level. So much so that when a royal cat died, pharaohs would shave off their eyebrows to mourn. Let me say that again. They didn't cry. They didn't write poetry. They yeeted their eyebrows into the afterlife. Imagine walking into the palace and the pharaoh has no eyebrows. You're like, "Oh no, was it Bastet?" And he just nods solemnly while petting another cat like some ancient James Bond villain. Some royal pets were even mummified, buried in tiny golden coffins, and given offerings. Better treatment than most humans got. And if you killed a cat, you were done. Executed. No trial, no debate. In Egypt, cats were gods, and the pharaohs were just their glorified can openers. So what did we learn today? That being a pharaoh wasn't all gold thrones and sun gods. Sometimes it was sacred poop inspections, sun cult rebrands, 100-kid households, politically motivated beards, and eyebrow-shaving cat funerals. Ancient Egypt was wild, and we've only scratched the surface. If you enjoyed this bizarre little stroll through pharaoh foolishness, there's plenty more where that came from. My channel's packed with weird, hilarious, and downright insane stories from history that you definitely weren't taught in school. So if you're into mummies, curses, forgotten civilizations, or ancient exorcist veterinarians, hit that subscribe button, check out the next video, and let's keep laughing through the ruins of history. Because here, history isn't boring, it's just been misdiagnosed.